Hey everybody, you are listening to the We Are RIZIN Podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin, and I'm joined once again by my very Texan co-host, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights.
Hey y'all, how's everything going?
And we got another Shooting the Shit edition with you today. I guess you could call it a quarantine lockdown edition of Shooting the Shit, since that is what I should say New York City and New York State's going through right now, where I live. Has Houston, Texas, or anything done any sort of lockdown or quarantine yet, Christian?
Well, from what I've just heard from Mayor Sylvester Turner, and in case you're wondering, obviously, from the recording date, March 20th, no, Sylvester Turner, the mayor of Houston, did not say that Houston was shut down.
Has there been any sort of restrictions or anything or is everything just operating as normal?
Well, on the contrary, restaurants are still limited. Restaurants are limited to drive-through, carry-out, and delivery only. Bars, clubs, and massage parlors will be shut. Well, actually, bars, clubs, and massage parlors will have to close as of midnight, March 21st, as of this recording. So, other than that, aside from all public gatherings being banned, we're doing okay.
No, okay, that's good. And
because of course we're not supposed to be. We're probably not going to be gathering here in Houston until around May, if I'm not mistaken, until around mid-May, which hopefully will coincide with the restart or reset of the NHL and NBA seasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good starting off for our Shooting the Shit edition, talking about sports that have been affected by coronavirus. And one of the things that we can talk about is WrestleMania. First going on, supposed to originally go on with no hiccups or anything in Tampa, but then the CDC passed a bunch of things saying, gatherings of 50 or more shouldn't happen, and then WrestleMania, WWE, whoever, then moved their show to the Performance Center, or at least, to my understanding, some of it to the Performance Center. They're going to apparently be shooting different locations, like at WrestleMania 2, like they did, where they shot at 3 different arenas. But not to mention as well, they are taking from New Japan's book earlier this year and doing a 2-part show. One on Saturday, and then the next on Sunday, and that'll be the 4th and 5th of April. And what do you think about that, Christian? What do you think about WrestleMania becoming not only 2 days, but also airing from the Performance Center and also airing from various other places, obviously that we don't know about, undisclosed locations, as they say?
It's unique that they're doing this as a 2-nighter because, of course, as you mentioned, New Japan Pro Wrestling done their 2-nighter, at the beginning of the year, January 4th and 5th, and it had rave reviews, so to speak, but they also had the opportunity to showcase in front of a live audience at the Tokyo Dome at the Tokyo Dome and at Kurikan Hall the following night for New Year's Dash, on January 6th. So they had the opportunity to, show their stuff toward a live crowd. But as far as the WWE is concerned, you're saying that they're going to be taping a little bit of this, over the next couple of weeks, right?
Are they going to be taping it beforehand? I don't know. It hasn't really been clear. I just assume it's going to be live. That they're just going to do it live, like they've always done every WrestleMania. They're just going to switch the satellites or whatever whenever they're going to go to whatever the other location is for that match or whatever. I honestly, that's the thing is I'm really intrigued about. Not so much the 2 day thing, because let's be honest, I think WrestleMania could do without 2 days, let alone 8 hours, whatever the absurd time that it goes now. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about the how they're gonna do it, presumably in empty arenas, but also just in different areas of the I'm presuming the United States. I don't think they're going to be going to UK or anything to shoot anything. It's just it's intriguing just because it is not something that Mania has done well since WrestleMania 2. But even that was done at arenas where they sold tickets. This is just going to be entirely
Mm-hmm.
like I just can't figure out like what how this is going to be done.
And I mean, if you think about it, in '86 when they did WrestleMania 2 from various locations, obviously the Rosemont Horizon, now known as the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois, Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which is now a part of NYCB Live on Long Island, and the now defunct LA Sports Arena, which now has made way for Bank of California Stadium, home to LAFC of MLS. But still, the fact that the WWE is even thinking about doing this in various locations, they forget to realize that the performance center that they wasted millions of dollars on, billions actually, they could use that as their singular location to put everything together because they got all the money in the world to basically make that, their central proving ground, which of course they did.
A question for you, Christian. So, does this devalue the name of the WrestleMania brand? Because let's be honest, even people who aren't WWE fans or even wrestling fans, WrestleMania is always kind of like that one exception. It's like they call it the Super Bowl of wrestling for obviously good reason. It's the one show that that many people pay attention to, and you can hate WWE as much as you want, but people are either going to pirate it, they're going to go to a friend's house to watch it, or they'll just get the network for that 1 month to see WrestleMania. Do you think that
For
after
$9.99 a month?
or the free trial that seemingly seems to pop up in my email every near every WrestleMania time, but nonetheless, do you think that this will devalue the WrestleMania name in the future?
I don't think it's going to devalue it as much as it will, the surrounding weekend for it. Because if you think about it now, and I don't know if you read anything about this beforehand, but of course there were supposed to be like independent promotions doing events around WrestleMania. Obviously, it's been the big thing to do over the last few years, especially over the last 5. But this year, with WrestleMania taking place in Orlando at the Performance Center and the Hall of Fame and the NXT Takeover cards being moved for the weekend of weekend of SummerSlam, which is going to be held in that one place you always hate, Boston. I mean, the indie promotions are going to be the ones that suffer because this thing, they planned this weekend months in advance, to put this event over, to have people come out to the singular area or around the Tampa Bay St. Pete area just to watch wrestling from other promotions from around the world. And now, unfortunately, you have entities like WrestleCon who basically bet their entire house trying to put this event on. You have the Collective, which of course Josh Barnett's Bloodsport was supposed to be on, and they're getting postponed. And now not only that, but I think all their events might be shown on this new independent wrestling.tv platform, so that there's no way we're going to be able to see the shit. But
Yeah.
still, if you think about it though, I think it would be great. It's great for the WWE to do WrestleMania, in their own facility, but it won't devalue it as much as it will the experience, of course.
Mm-hmm. Are you at all interested in this year's WrestleMania? Flat out, honest answer.
To be quite honest, not at all. I mean, I would be if there were other events surrounding it, but to me, especially now, considering the fact that, WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights, unfortunately. I mean, even though, yeah, it's going to be fortunate for WrestleMania being 2 nights, but I'm just not really feeling it this year.
I think this is probably one of the least hyped Manias that I can recall. I feel like
since WrestleMania 11.
I mean, I'm trying to think. WrestleMania 11. Who was the main event of that? Was that the Diesel main event?
Diesel was in the co-main event against Shawn Michaels. The main event was unfortunately Lawrence Taylor versus the late great Scott Bam Bam Bigelow.
Well, here's the thing: you can at least say that there was that the LT factor was clearly had a celebrity thing behind it. So if you want to put it from that perspective, yeah, there's at least from it's at least celebrity wise that's why it made it interesting. But I'm trying to honestly think like this. I have not like the interest for this Mania. Like I can't think of any matches that I am the least bit interested. I don't care about Drew McIntyre and Brock. I don't care about AJ Undertaker. I don't care about anybody on this card really. It's really been it's been like devoid of any interest in my personal opinion. Nothing seems to be and with the whole thing of them having Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Totally forgot about that. Like there's nothing that stands out to me as that's a WrestleMania match. There's always those WrestleMania matches. Those matches that feel like a WrestleMania. I feel like these matches have no value at all, and they could just be on a Raw or SmackDown or anything or Saudi Arabia show.
Oh God! Don't fucking talk about those damn Saudi shit shows.
But you do bring up a good point with the WrestleMania weekend shows. Those were the ones that were hardest hit, and especially when the Marriott Hotel at first did not want to refund. Was it WrestleCon? It was WrestleCon. They didn't want to refund WrestleCon's hotels, rates, and all that stuff because they were going to. I think WrestleCon enforced their force majeure clause, and because of WWE leaving, and the CDC's recommendations of having no more than 50 people in a space, in large gatherings, that sort of thing. And the hotel was like, nope, not our problem. And then luckily, a lot of people, including Chris Jericho, basically came out, and also a lot of, I guess, the equivalent of like a platinum member or whoever, or like basically sent messages to Marriott and said, hey, I'm going to not go to your hotel anymore if you continue this. And basically, Marriott kowtowed to the pressure and gave them back the money. Luckily, because when how much was it that they were going to owe? It wasn't close to 6 figures, all right, or like late.
Yeah, it was over $115,000.
Jesus, that is insane. That's fucking insane.
I know.
Well, here's the one thing that I don't know if they're gonna get the airfare back. I'd be interested to know that if they're gonna get any of that airfare back. I would hope so. They definitely would probably have to get the venues to pay them back, but I don't know. Like I'd be worried. I think those promotions are definitely gonna take a hit, and some more than others can take it. But I'm pretty sure that GCW, can at least take a little bit of a hit. But when you're talking about little promotions that are running out there, like I guess Black Label Pro, they were running out there, right? Were they part of the Collective or WrestleCon or something?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You also got promotions like the Wrestling Revolver, and the Texas Forever group of promotions: New Texas Pro Wrestling, Sabotage Wrestling, Heavy Metal Wrestling, and I think I forgot who else.
It's a lot of promotions.
No, Lucha Brutal out of Dallas.
It's basically a lot of promotion. It's going to be a lot of promotions.
Yeah, a lot of promotions are pretty much affected. Hell, even TNA or Impact Wrestling, the Unstoppable Impact Wrestling, was supposed to have a fucking reunion show, and they got canceled.
Mm-hmm. Ring of Honor.
Actually, no. They really got canceled beforehand they really got canceled beforehand when Scott Steiner came down and almost died on their watch in Atlanta.
And then, Ring of Honor canceled their shows, so did New Japan, which, definitely expected.
Of course, because New Japan is just taking the next couple of months off anyways.
The most interesting thing was that WXW, I think before anything happened, they canceled way before anything drastic happened, like the travel restrictions and all that stuff.
And when you're talking about WXW, you're talking about the German promotion, not the promotion based out of Allen, Texas.
No, absolutely not. Not the Allen, Texas one. No. The German promotion that is a shell of its former self after signing with WWE or doing that whatever thing with WWE. But apparently they're gonna be moving. They said they'd be moving their shows. I'm gonna presume they're gonna move their shows to the East Coast area for for SummerSlam. That's what I have to assume. So Boston.
Well, of course they will. It would be wrong if they didn't have those shows take place out of somewhere in Massachusetts or Maine or Delaware, anywhere in New England, really.
So, did you hear about these rumors that apparently now Front Row Brian, a man who's both loved and hated in the combat sports world, I would probably say equally, reported that WWE was that this whole thing about using a performance center, and all that stuff was kind of a front for them to basically get their insurance money back, and that their whole idea was to run Madison Square Garden in July. Did you hear about that?
I didn't, but I did hear that they had to postpone that MSG show.
Oh yeah, there was supposed to be just a regular MSG show, but apparently they were going July 26th, I think the date was. They were going to that's when they were going to run the alternate date for Mania. I'm going to try to find exactly what he wrote, just because I thought it was a very interesting, I guess you could say, analysis of the whole WrestleMania canceling thing.
Right, but all I heard about that was that they were postponing that MSG show and the South African tour.
Beg your pardon, sorry, what was that, Christian?
They postponed the Madison Square Garden event and the South African tour that was supposed to precede it.
Yeah, which is funny because I don't think that South Africa has really had a ton of coronavirus issues, as far as I know.
Well, they haven't, but it's Africa, so, if it were to happen in South Africa, it was going to spread eventually throughout the entire continent.
Okay, so here's what Fight Oracle, formerly known as Front Row Brian, wrote. He said, he wrote in big letters, huge WrestleMania rumor. WrestleMania will not happen from the PC, the Performance Center in Orlando. Why? WWE's insurance policy says they have a duty to mitigate damage. In this case, that means finding a new venue. WWE announced WrestleMania as a new venue with intent to satisfy that requirement. The thought is the city of Orlando will shut down the WrestleMania event from the Performance Center. At this point, WWE will have shown they tried their best to move the event, aka mitigate damage, and they get paid by their insurer. WWE will look to stage WrestleMania June 7th, not July 26th, as I said originally. June 7th. MSG is targeted. Of course, everything is food. And this is a rumor at this point because, as you know, Vince McMahon changes his mind at the drop of a hat. He didn't write that. That's what basically what he said. So,
Hmm.
what do you think about that? Do you think that's at all entirely possible that WWE is expecting to the city of Orlando to shut down any sort of non-essential gatherings, and then they move it to the June show, a June date that he listed? I thought it was a very. I thought it
Well,
was,
I mean, to be quite honest, it would make sense because obviously Vince McMahon's not invincible. I mean, if he has to abide, I mean, if we have to abide by the CDC and what our gullible, waste of time having ass president running 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to the fucking ground, not to mention Vince's homeboy, Donnie Trump, obviously he has to listen to them too, because really, what would be the point of him going on and doing this event if, I mean, obviously with us watching, or trying to anyways, if, everybody has to abide by the same regulations, especially as citizens of this damn country.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it's. Listen, WWE is run by smart people, at least on the business side. So I'm pretty sure.
They just fired two people, Michelle Wilson and George Barrios.
It's also funny that it's funny that they were brought that they're firing, and this whole thing that's happening. I want it's so there's just so much turnover and just I wonder. I mean, they got fired before the whole coronavirus thing. They were fired way before that, so there's no connection. But it's I wonder how things would be different if they were there because those two Barrios and Wilson basically changed WWE's method of doing business in the content era, as I like to call it. And so they were the people who helped, I think, power up the network more so than anybody else for WWE and helped get it to the numbers that it did. The numbers unfortunately did not get bigger, but that's was probably no fault of their own, just because wrestling does have a ceiling. Though I would be interested to know what the numbers will be for the network after this, during this whole coronavirus quarantine lockdown, whatever you want to call it. So I do think it's just funny though that I'm not surprised that the WWE would probably think something like this. They do have people who run who are good with the book numbers, or I guess cooking the books, as you say. So they know that if they don't want if they want to run MSG, which is funny because they've been all anti running these closed arenas for WrestleMania. So it'd be funny if they actually came back to MSG for WrestleMania, just because it's all about the open arenas. It's all about the Sun Dome and the one in Texas I forgot.
AT&T Stadium.
Yes, it's all about those open arenas. Apparently the closed arenas are too small even for WWE for whatever that means. Anyway, so I don't see it as I don't think it's far fetched to think that WWE would do that, but as of right now, it doesn't seem to be. WrestleMania is about a little over 2 weeks away, so as of now, I'm expecting an empty arena performance center, WrestleMania. 2 days of that.
As long as they don't pipe in the crowd noise.
What do you think they're gonna do about pyro and all that stuff?
Oh no, they just can't do pyro. I mean, obviously the performance center is a small enough venue as it is. Pyro in that building is definitely a no-go.
What about also like guest appearances from celebrities and stuff? You think that's the thing, is that you usually expect all the past wrestlers to come in, and here's that's the funny thing, is that how are you gonna have all these wrestlers who are much older, who are higher at risk for getting corona, and then you can't have them come in just because the risk of them catching something would probably be astronomical.
Exactly.
And then the celebrities probably don't want to be there. They're probably quarantined off in their Hollywood Hills home right now.
Well, outside of Rob Gronkowski, I don't know who the hell they would plan to get, you know, as celebrity guests for this show.
So why Rob Gronkowski? Why are they having him host? It is, uh, why him? Is there a reason that I don't know of, Christian, that you can let us all in?
Either it's going to be to keep him busy before football season, or they probably just signed him to a contract outright because they know that he's done with football. Football pretty much killed his career. Well, actually, football nearly cost him everything. So he's on CBD medication. Well, he actually promoted CBD medication prior to the start of this past NFL season, which he worked with Fox on. And obviously, with him being signed to the WWE, it can be two factors. One, it can give the WWE that much needed celebrity exposure that they have recently gotten with Ronda Rousey and Cain Velasquez. And two, it can give Gronk another reason to act a plum ass without all the consequences.
Is he gonna wrestle? You think?
He probably will. More than likely. It basically, and I hate to drag it even further and get into NSFW territory, but do you remember that one actress from Boy Meets World, Maitland Ward, the one that everybody wanted to fuck?
I never saw Boy Meets World. Never watched an episode ever.
You never saw Boy Meets World?
Never watched it.
Ah, damn. Well, here's the thing. In one of the final couple of seasons of that show, they had this actress named Maitland Ward, who was supposed to be like the love interest of the two main characters, one played by Ben Savage, the other played by Will Friedle. And she was only there to be sex appeal, so to speak. And so after Boy Meets World, she starred in like a couple of films. She even starred in White Chicks. And then after her acting career was done, she got into cosplaying and then got into actually putting herself over with lewd images on Instagram before thinking that she could, before thinking and accepting the fact that she could make more money doing, pornography, which is what she got into doing last year. Yeah, I know. It's really a tough story for me to even mention. I'm not going to get too into the details, and I'm not going to say how you can share that shit. Please don't mind me talking about this. I'm actually refrain from me saying this, but still. I just hope that when it comes down to Rob Gronkowski joining the WWE, that it would be a perfect career choice for him, that it would be a great drastic shift for him from being, on a team of 51 other guys to being in there by yourself and doing as much damage as you can without damaging yourself.
Actually, you bring up a great point about celebrities, and this is not combat sports related, but nonetheless, it is still in the news, and it's something that I hate. Go ahead
and speak about this because I know you want to.
It's something that I hate. Celebrities talking about things outside their bubble, and one thing that you have to learn is, and actually, I'm going to steal from Red Letter Media. You know who Red Letter Media is, Christian?
Unfortunately, I do not.
They are a movie review channel on YouTube, and they're the ones who made those long Star Wars videos. Do you remember those like reviews of Star Wars that are like 2 hours, 3 hours long on YouTube?
Can't say I do.
And well, they basically, in one of their reviews, where I think they were talking about the Oscars, and they brought up how basically almost everybody in Hollywood is an asshole, and that is very true.
Oh, you know what? Did they also mention that one speech from Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes where Ricky basically talked about celebrities, you know, basically talking about themselves and about other causes instead of,
Yes.
you know, getting their piece in and getting the fuck off.
Yes. And as somebody who does work in the film and TV business, I guess, most celebrities are not nice people. I can tell you that for a fact. And when I'm saying celebrities, I'm talking about people who are not. I'm not saying exclusively actors or actors. I'm just talking about people whose name value is known to others. They happen to be mostly actors and actresses, but anyway, let me just get to my point. So, Gal Gadot, the actress who played Wonder Woman, the new one, not the old one, she and a bunch of other celebrities who I recognize maybe like two or three did like a video montage of the incredibly overrated song Imagine by John Lennon. And it's basically it's celebrities under quarantine seem to be a lot worse than not under quarantine. I've come to realize they have no idea what is going on in this world, nor do they have any true desire to help what's going on. I mean, what is doing a song about Imagine supposed to do? Is it going to help people get tested? Is it going to help with a vaccine? No, it's not. This is a case of stay in your lane. This is like when Meryl Streep insulted MMA at the Oscars, at the Golden Globes. Stay in your lane with shit that you don't know about. I don't talk about rocket science. I don't talk about computer engineering because I don't know that shit. Uh, we talk about combat sports because we know that shit. We talk about pro wrestling because we know that shit. We don't talk about anything else because we stay in our lane. Celebrities like Gal Gadot, who have no idea what actual people are going through right now, need to do exactly that. They need to shut the fuck up and let the real world try to solve this worldwide issue that's going to cause other problems, not just people getting sick and dying, but also economic issues. You know, the businesses that are going to close down possibly forever, people losing money, people possibly having long term ill effects. Uh, yeah, it's going to they gotta shut the fuck up. You have any thoughts on this, Christian? Because you knew what I was gonna say, but I have no idea what you're gonna say. So I don't know if you saw the video, if you have any thoughts or feelings about that.
I've only seen a few pieces of the cover that these celebrities have done, and of course, I only recognize a few celebrities in it. Will Ferrell, Jimmy Fallon, Gal Gadot, and really, I didn't really see the whole video, so I wouldn't tell you the entire list of celebrities, but it's basically like what they did back in the day in 1985 with a little song called We Are the World, thinking that it was going to help, you know, stop this whole, stop. I don't know what the hell was going on back
Was that
then.
for World Hunger or something?
I was born 7 years after this shit.
I think that was for World
I think
Hunger
it
or
was
something,
like,
right? I think that was World Hunger,
huh?
right? Wasn't that like World Hunger or Save the Whales?
No, it was world hunger and I think the famine back in the day.
Oh.
But still, it's like the whole "We Are the World" effect. You think that people are gonna get by, and help with more causes just by singing a corny ass song that's nothing more but a fucking earworm, which is what they did 25 years later to commemorate the 25th anniversary in 2010 with all these fucking singers and unfortunately rappers that I'm supposed to care about, but unfortunately I don't.
Either
way,
mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
Either way, they need to. I understand celebrities are, big helpers when it comes down to, trying to get people together and fight for a cause that's worth believing in. But sometimes when it comes down to stuff like the song cover that Gal Gadot started, obviously. I think it would be best to just shut up and just tell us ways on how to donate to this so that we can, figure out a way of how to, not only save ourselves, but save this planet. Ain't no fucking song gonna help us try and get motivated to doing this shit.
And do you want to also? She later tweeted out a picture of her in her closet, surrounded by all of her incredibly expensive clothes, and basically telling us, this is, just doing like a quarantine selfie and telling us to say we are, and like a hashtag of we are all one.
Oh,
she's incredible. She's
like taking after Genki Sudo.
Well, here's the thing: Genki Sudo is cool. Gal Gadot is not. It was incredibly tacky of her to do something like that, and incredible. And you ever hear people say, "Oh, that's an odd flex." That's what she did. She was clearly flexing what she has in her closet. And this isn't like a closet. This is like the size of this thing is like the size of a bedroom. This closet. So it was that was really gross.
It was probably a walk-in. It was probably a walk-in and walk-around closet. So
Absolutely. It was incredibly gross and disgusting. I hate celebrities. I hate our fascination, our obsession with them. They're really, they. Who is that, Christian?
I'm gonna have to pick this up in another room.
It is shooting the shit.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm like, oh, it's just making me angry just thinking about it. Let's go on to another topic though, because I'm about to like throw my computer outside the window because it's making me angry like thinking about it.
What? Because I can understand you're probably going through this, and I'm just, trying to. I'm just trying to, cause a little bit of filter here because my parents just. I think you just heard my mother in the background. As annoying as that was.
Well, this is why it's called shooting the shit, because we shoot, and not only do we shoot, but also uninvited guests do.
Yeah, no fucking shit, dude. This is why.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I need a better mic when it comes down to recording in my. When it comes down to recording on my own. Because. Shit, it would be best for me to try and, get my situation in order, but, if I didn't, you would basically be hearing nothing but background noise all night. And now, as I resume recording on my end, what was it that you wanted to talk about again?
Oh, unfortunately, during these economic times, it seems like people are losing their jobs from all facets of every industry. Very few industries seem to not be affected by what's going on in the world. And unfortunately, combat sports world is no different. UFC released a bunch of fighters. I think at least a dozen or close to a dozen.
It was a baker's dozen. It was actually 14 fighters that they cut.
Really? Wow! I didn't know it was that much. I thought it was a little bit less, but my God. Oof. But one of the things we like to do here is see if fighters that have been released, maybe if they would be, as we like to say, RIZIN worthy. So I'm gonna get up the list of fighters who did get released, and we can talk about, hey, if we're going to, if they should come to RIZIN at some point, or go to the regionals or whatever. And I'm going to. This is from BloodyElbow.com, and the list of fighters. Yes, yes, it was. You said it was 11, or was it 11? Or was it 13?
I said I mean, a baker's dozen equals. I mean, a baker's dozen equals 14 fighters.
Oh, okay. I thought Baker's dozen was 11 for some reason. And
Oh, well, damn, stupid me. I don't have the smartest mindset in the world, damn it.
obviously the biggest name out of all of these is lightweight Maribek Taisimov. Maribek Taisimov.
Maribek Taisimov.
Now, the speculation was that he got released apparently because of visa issues. What country? Do you know what country he's from by any chance?
Originally, he's from Russia. He fights out of Vienna, Austria.
Out of Austria, you said?
Yeah, Austria,
Oh,
Germany.
okay.
Well, actually, Austria or Germany basically being Deutsch.
So basically, that might actually answer it right there because right now a lot of Europe is under lockdown, and so is the United States, and so an international fighter like him, um, it's I wouldn't have been surprised if I mean here's the thing, he only lost one fight, and he did miss weight for another fight,
Mm-hmm.
before that, but three performance of the night, and his overall record in UFC. Excuse me, as I count this right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-2. Um, UFC doesn't get rid of fighters who just win seven and lose two. That's very unheard of. So,
Indeed.
but what's
But to be honest, and
yep.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, I don't think he's rising worthy for the simple fact that he's Russian.
Oh,
I
what?
think that the next possible promotion that he'll probably be going to is Absolute Championship Akhmat because they love gathering all these top Russian names that used to be at one point in time in the UFC just to get them in there. I mean, just to get them all. I mean, just to get all those eggs under one basket, so to speak.
Well, it seems like, with the world the way it's going now, I think we're going to see a lot more Russian, Eastern, like fighters from Eastern Bloc areas go to companies like RIZIN. Because, I don't think with Australia restricting travel, the United States restricting travel, parts of Europe, there's going to be a lot of, if you're going to get international fighters, Russia, which has not done any sort of restrictions as far as I know, well, I think you're going to probably. Also, here's the thing as well. He's a former UFC fighter, and people.
Not only is he a former UFC fighter, but he's a former plus 500 UFC fighter.
Yeah, so he's got a good record. He's a pretty well known name. A lot of promotions do want to get a name like that. Not some they don't want to get a fighter who went 2-4 in UFC. If you get somebody like this, uh, that I think that says you kind of are giving establishing that your organization hires top talent,
Mm-hmm.
and not just people who got cut because of the loss. Because I can't believe for one second that he was cut because of losing one fight or the total of two fights. I think it had to be visa issues or something extenuating. Um, I mean, here's the thing: if he's in Ryzen, if he gets signed to Ryzen, I definitely would see him. They would put him in a big fight. If Ryzen did sign him, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him against Tofik immediately. Like a
Well, I mean, that would make sense, but I wouldn't think that him fighting Tofik would make, you know, I don't think that him fighting Tofik would be a good idea because, those two countries, Russia and Azerbaijan, obviously are former parts of the Soviet Union and
hey,
still are closely aligned with one another.
that may make a little bit of an interesting dynamic. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Now the other big name that got released is featherweight female fighter Tanya Evinger.
Tanya Evinger.
What do you think
Uh,
about her as a fighter? She's interesting because she's at one point. Cindy. I like to bring up Cindy Dandois as one of the most underrated fighters in the women's division. She was at one point one of the few people who defeated her, while Cindy Dandois was going to RIZIN, Invicta, all that stuff. They fought in Invicta, and Evinger finished her by armbar, and a bantamweight match, by the way. Evinger was also one of the many victims of Chris Cyborg in a featherweight championship match. Went 0-3 in her last three matches in UFC. Had a very she had one. Do you remember the fight?
Well, actually, 0-3 in her only three matches in the UFC.
Oh, okay. Do you remember? I heard about her first as an MMA fighter when she fought Yana Kunitskaya. And do you remember the weird ending of that match?
Oh, it was supposed. Yeah, I remember that. It was supposed to be a submission victory for Kunitskaya, but it got overturned due to a referee bullshit and lollygagging.
Well, because also what happened was that Evinger went into the match as champion, as bantamweight Invicta champion, and Kunitskaya got into an armbar. Evinger did not tap out, did not verbally give any indication that she was in pain or anything, and the referee ruled it a submission. And luckily, it was overturned because a lot of bullshit calls do not get overturned, and that was a great. Luckily, that got overturned, and she was actually reinstated as champion, and then went on to defeat Kunitskaya in their rematch. Now, what about her? Now she fights at bantamweight and featherweight. Um, really, I mean,
You know what? All I can say is that if she doesn't go to, I mean, obviously, Bellator can't sign every ex-UFC fighter that gets. I mean, Bellator can't sign every ex-UFC fighter that gets cut for obvious reasons. So a rematch between her and Cyborg would be off the cards. And obviously, there's no point in her going back to Invicta because, she already conquered that promotion. So I guess the next possible step, knowing that she's not rising worthy, I mean, yeah, even though she's been wanting to fight international for longest. I mean, all her MMA fights have been in the States pretty much. Well, except for her most recent fight, which she lost to Lena Axel Landsberg. But the point of the matter is, if RIZIN doesn't pick her up, I think the next possible opportunity for this member of Houston's 4-ounce Fight Club would possibly be in the PFL.
I was gonna say if she had been released a little bit earlier, she might have qualified for PFL, but I think PFL probably has made all their decisions for who they want in. I don't know if they can put her in their the women's lightweight division very quickly. This unless somebody if somebody gets injured, then yeah, I think they could definitely put her in. But it might be too late now, unfortunately. I think.
That sucks. I mean, that really does suck because if you think about it, people were wanting to see her get into the UFC. I mean, people were wanting her in the UFC because she had, basically, she was obviously a badass. She fought everywhere around the fighting landscape. Obviously, she fought in Invicta, Elite XC, Titan FC, Strike Force, you name it, pretty much. She was a badass at all those promotions, and she was repping Houston pretty damn well, even though she's originally from Moses Lake, Washington. But still, I think that it would be a shame for any MMA promotion, except for the UFC, of course, not to sign her because of Tanya's experience and the fact that she's a former world champion.
Well, right now, sorry, go ahead.
But I do think that it would be. I do think that if PFL were to at least have a sweet spot, I think it would be best for them to sign her. I don't know, either as a unrestricted free agent either as an unrestricted free agent or as a late notice signee in case one of these ladies drop out.
And it seems like PFL always every year has people who drop out, get injured, or eliminated, or don't make weight.
That and the fact that, in order for Tanya Evinger, she would have to bulk up 20 pounds to her walking weight, which is like 150, 155. Well, actually, it would be past her walking weight.
So right now,
155, but still, I would think that the PFL needs to sign her.
So right now, there's the 3 female fighters in the lightweight division who they've announced being a part of the of that roster are Kayla Harrison, obviously. She is basically PFL's mascot. Cindy
Yeah, not to mention their only women's champion so far.
Kayla Harris. We're going to say Kayla Harrison. Cindy Dandois, as we said, and Laura Sanchez. Do you know who Laura Sanchez is?
She's an amateur standout from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who fights out of the Chosen Few Gym. And also, you forgot that Mariana Moraes, who also fought in the UFC before, she signed on to the PFL as well by virtue of winning a tournament in, I think it was Chute Brasil. Yeah, it was Chute Brasil where she won that opportunity to be in the PFL.
Oh, okay. Because I'm on their roster website. They don't mention her. They just mention the 3 I mentioned. Anyway, given what the landscape might be for MMA, who knows? Cindy Dandois is from Belgium. She may not be able to come to the United States if this whole crisis is going on. And then that's when you could get Tanya Evinger to come in into that division. And I don't know if they've already figured out everybody who's going to be in there, but if they have somebody who's open, put her in that division. I think she would be good for that division. Right now, would you want to see? I guess the one fight you can maybe make for if you want to do RIZIN, what would you do if it was Tanya Evinger versus Gabby Garcia?
Oh, fuck no. Come on. It's bad enough we've already seen Gabby Garcia bully grandmas and women who weigh a little less heavier than her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Do we really want to see Gabby Garcia kill these lighter weight competitors who are normally lightweight or featherweight at best?
Well, here's the thing. She did fight Gabby's training partner, Tanya Evinger fought Chris Cyborg. So you got a little bit of a thing there. A little bit. So, would you want to do a rematch? If Dandois wasn't in this tournament, would you do a rematch with Dandois and Evinger at 145 in this case?
Well, obviously, it would be. It would.
Or 150, or 150, 155, whatever. What about
either or 145 or 155? It depends on the promotion. If it's not in the PFL, it definitely depends on the promotion.
What about Dandois versus King Reina?
Again. Are you seriously saying you would want to see Cindy Dandois versus Reina Miura again?
No. Evinger versus King Reina.
Oh. Well, Evinger versus Reina would be pretty damn cool. If Reina defeats Evinger, she could basically say she defeated a former world champion.
Let's go on to the next name.
And not to mention, if Reina were to defeat Evinger, she could basically say she beat a women's MMA pioneer, which is what she failed to do when it came down to facing the striking Viking Caitlin Young.
The next name on the list of people who got released is Don Hyun Ma, the Maestro from Korea. And he
South Korea, not North.
Of course. Who had a very under 500 record in the UFC. He went 3-5 in the UFC.
And his overall record is 16-11-3, fighting out of Busan, South Korea, and Busan Team Back.
And he was a lightweight, not in drinking terms. I mean in his weight division. So I'll be honest. I can't recall ever seeing any fights of him. Is there anything you could tell me about Dong, Christian?
Hell no, I can't really say I watched any of these. I can't really say I watched any fights of his either. And instead of being Ryzen worthy, I think he would be best suited for Road FC.
Hmm. He does train at the same place that Stun Gun does, and I believe also CO Ham trains at Busan Team Mad. I think that's like literally the top team in South Korea, where all the top fighters go to or train from. Road FC. Well, has Road FC even announced any shows at all? I can't. I can't.
How many shows have they done this year so far?
I think zero. I can't. I haven't heard anything. They were supposed to be. Remember, they were supposed to be doing some. Were they supposed to be doing some sort of tournament or something this year?
I think so. I mean, yeah, you might probably think about it now. I mean, considering the fact that their lightweight champion is Mansour Banarwi, who I think is rising worthy, and it still is if they, find some type of suitable fight for him to be in. But still, I don't. World FC, I just don't know what the hell is up with them these days. We're like close to 90 days into the new year, but they haven't done one event.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I just checked. They haven't done any shows. They said that their next show is supposed to be on April 18th. So I don't know if they were supposed to do a show earlier, and then coronavirus obviously fucked that all up. But I'm looking at this show right now, and Road FC 58. Yeah, they have nobody listed for this show at all.
In that
And
case,
that says,
I won't be surprised if it ends up getting canceled and they have to regroup everything for the summer.
Road FC was one of the promotions I really looked forward to quite a few years ago, and then as soon as it went in the zone, that's when they seemed to be they just did a nosedive in terms of quality and just everything as a fight promotion. They have not been the same since then, and it's very disappointing. Very, 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 very disappointing.
I see. So the next name we are gonna jot off the list is a New Year's baby, born December 31st, 1986. He is the Black Eagle, Chance Rincontul, a member of the Osage Nation fighting out of Pakushan, Oklahoma. His UFC record, out of the 14-4 record he has overall in professional MMA, his UFC record was 2-2, defeating Kyle Stewart via submission, defeating Ismail Nar via decision, losing via decision to Belong, remember the name Muhammad, getting knocked out in his most recent UFC fight at UFC 204 at MSG back on November 2nd by Lyman the Terminator or the Cyborg Good. He is 2-1 in Bellator, obviously fighting on the post limbs, with an impressive submission victory over Justin Patterson via barbell choke to his credit out of those 3 fights in Bellator. But to be quite honest, do you think that this guy, obviously he's not rising worthy by any stretch of the imagination, but do you think that he would be more suitable to fight in Bellator or in any other promotion away from Ryzen?
Yes. Definitely, he probably has an open door to Bellator. I'm guessing he. So I'm looking at his record. He was in Bellator 2017. That's Scott Coker's Bellator. He definitely has an open door. Scott Coker numerous times will bring back fighters who he's worked with. Going as far back as the Strikeforce days or as to the Bellator days. He has no problem bringing people back.
I can understand that, but it's like I said beforehand, the UFC, Bellator can't pick up the UFC scraps.
That's true.
All the time.
I know that's true, but he didn't necessarily have a bad record. It was 2-2, so there's worse records. Plus the welterweight division and Bellator probably can always use some good people. But if you want to talk about Ryzen, let's just say oh hey, what about Ryzen? Welterweight division of Ryzen still sparse as fuck. So if he got signed to Ryzen for welterweight, I would not be surprised because it seems like they are desperate to get some welterweights in there. But I definitely see him going back to Bellator at some point. Um, maybe on an Oklahoma card or East Coast card. On a maybe I forgot he is Native American, so doing a show on an Indian reservation of some kind. Truly,
You mean like an event in Temecula, California, or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's kind of like why Scott Coker likes to give people chances. We see that with Nick Newell, who didn't get the UFC contract, and then Bellator swept him up. So it seems like Scott Coker likes to give people who have very interesting backstories chances in his promotion, Bellator. So Sophie, if he comes to Bellator, I won't be surprised. Is PFL doing welterweight division this year? I think they are. Because they got Roy McDonald, they got Ray Cooper.
Yeah, they are doing a welterweight division this year. I'm not surprised that they're not doing a middleweight division this year, but they are doing a welterweight division again this year.
So certainly, I could definitely see him being signed as maybe an alternate or replacing somebody in the in PFL. Somebody gets injured or hurt in that welterweight division. Though I think the competition in the welterweight division, I think he's very. I don't think he's at the same level as some of those guys like Ray Cooper or certainly Roy McDonald. So if he's brought in, I don't expect him to go far at all in a PFL tournament. Uh, Not at all. And actually, you brought up the name of somebody he defeated in UFC, who also got released. Christian Ismail Narudev from Austria.
RDF.
Yes, who got released as well. His name is not on the list I have here, but he was released as well. Not so sure what exactly what was the reason why he again.
What was his UFC record?
2-2. None of his fights went to a finish. They all were decision wins.
Oh well, in that case, I won't be surprised. If the PFL has already locked down names, then I won't be surprised if he ends up fighting for ACA, and if not, he had an open door to go to the PFL if need be.
Basically, we can assume that every fighter who is from Russia, who is from Ukraine, or just that area, basically ACB is is an open door for them. That's what it basically is. Or maybe what's the other Russian promotion? ROC I think it's called.
RCC.
RCC.
The German Titov Russian Copper Company.
Yeah. There's all. What about KSW? You think KSW has?
Oh, you know what? I think Marbet Tysonov would be a good fit there. RDM, not so much.
But also, we have mentioned that KSW also on hiatus as well, so we don't know when they're coming back. There's those interesting shows to watch. The KSW shows. Next name I have is Matthew Lopez. I have no idea who he is. Do you know who that is, Christian?
Well, let me go ahead and give you more info on him. Matthew Lopez, born December 12, 1987 in Stafford, Arizona. He was a bantamweight, 5'7", 134 pounds with a 69-inch reach, fighting at a Genesis Training Center in Denver, Colorado. He had a 10-4. He has a 10-4 professional MMA record, and he went 2-4 inside the octagon. So that means obviously he's 8-0 outside of he's 8-0 outside the UFC. And obviously he fought in King of the Cage, he fought in the RFA. He's probably, if he were to fight elsewhere, he'd probably be fighting in the Legacy Fighting Alliance. Because, of course, due to the RFA ties, as far as running that promotion, he would probably be more suitable for there.
Definitely not rising worthy is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not rising worthy, but if he gets the chance to showcase his skills more in the LFA and potentially goes to Bellator, or, you know, gets that call up back to the UFC, I think he's not gonna be rising worthy for a while.
Because also, like you said, he's a bantamweight. The bantamweight
Mm-hmm.
division in RIZIN is filled with a lot of killers, and I don't can he hang with some of those people? Could he hang with like a Manel Cape or Shintaro Ishiwatari and Okazaki, Yuki Motori? Can he hang with these people? I don't know. I think that a lot of these fighters are probably much more well skilled than he is. Um, he also has the unfortunate privilege of missing weight for one of his fights, and if you do that in RIZIN, you're lucky if you come back. If you miss your weight, oof, Gabby Garcia, we remember what she had to do. The public apology, uh, breaking down the middle of the ring. So if you miss weight in RIZIN, you better count your lucky stars. You better be ready to bow down to Sakaki Barasan, who and beg for another chance. So don't if he gets a call for RIZIN, don't miss fucking weight. That's all I gotta say to you,
Hmm.
Mr. Lopez. Now the next
But
name.
obviously, you're saying that he's not gonna be rising worthy as well, huh?
Oh yeah, just based on skill as well. I don't. Judging by his record, I haven't seen him. I can't recall ever seeing a fight of his. But I definitely don't think he is rising worthy based on his record. Now,
Understood. The next
mhm,
fighter we can talk about is obviously a French heavyweight born Christmas Eve 1985 in Sorgues, France, fighting out of Avignon, Vaucluse, France. Cyril, the silverback Ask, 6 feet tall, 243 and a half pounds, a brown belt in BJJ, red belt Taekwondo. He has 13-4 professional MMA record, but he went 2-3 inside the octagon. Now, considering the fact that France has just opened up, regulations for cage fighting to be legalized in their country, even though, of course, you know, that first event inside a cage is going to have to be put on hold due to this whole COVID-19 thing. Do you see Asker potentially fighting? I mean, potentially having a fighting future because, of course, for those who don't know, he fought 3 times in EFC worldwide out in South Africa and became the EFC Africa heavyweight champion. But do you think that eventually he'll get that opportunity to fight elsewhere or potentially fight in France because of this?
no, that'd be great. Be on the first sanctioned MMA fight in France. Particularly getting the main event, that'd be great. Don't know when that'll happen though, because like you said, COVID-19 fucked up a lot of shit. Um, he's a heavyweight, so it's definitely he definitely heavyweights always have it much easier than other weight classes just because you're a heavyweight. So uh, he's got that going for him. Um, if he makes it to RIZIN, I wouldn't see him lasting that long in a heavyweight or openweight division,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the talent that's there. I think they're much better fighters on their roster than he is. I mean, if you wanted to, I guess the fight that if you want to make that could be potentially interesting is him versus Big Brother Sergey Shemetov, maybe. Um, but other than that, it sounds like he maybe, as of right now, if international travel is an issue, France might be the one place where he will be able to fight after COVID-19 is contained.
I mean, either that or he'll probably be fighting for this Aries FC promotion that just had their first show.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great as well. I don't know. Again, the question is not if but when, because like you said, COVID-19, and if that's not solved soon, he could be waiting on the sidelines for much longer. Especially if he's not getting calls from Japan or Korea or China or Bellator's calling for a state show in the United States, or I should say in England. They happen to get back to running their shows regularly.
Mm-hmm. Another fighter on this list is obviously, the Russian from Makhachkala, Dagestan, Russia, Khalid Murtalaziev, 14-2 overall. He's a one and done UFC fighter who knocked out, pretty much beat the wind out of CB Dalloway at UFC Fight Night 136 back on September 15, 2018. But unfortunately, he was caught up with USADA. Obviously, the former Fight Nights Global, the former Fight Nights Global World Star, the former Fight Nights Global Middleweight title challenger, he can't fight for a long while. He can't really fight for, no, actually, he can't fight probably until next year for obvious reasons due to this USADA thing. But do you think that if ACA doesn't pick him up, that he would be rising worthy and have a rematch with Dalloway?
Well, I don't think a rematch with Dalloway is something that fans are going to be clamoring for. You could definitely bring him into RIZIN. I definitely think in your light heavyweight division. I mean, he went off on the UFC. Listen, if they can bring in Shurtakov, who also failed a drug test and who didn't even make his UFC debut because of that drug test, they can obviously. I think they're going to make no qualms about signing this guy. Though, who would you put him up against in RIZIN's light heavyweight division, which is obviously now incredibly sparse with Jiri leaving and looks like Jake Kuhn maybe not going down the light heavyweight at some point. I mean, the only fight you could probably think of is him versus Simon Biong. I think that'd be a very interesting matchup. Two kind of.
Well, actually, that's only if Vitaly Shumatov ain't gonna be fighting Simon Biong.
That's true.
Now that you think about it.
Well, hold on. You mean?
No, no. What the hell am I meant to say? If Ivan Shurtakov ain't fighting Simon Biong, which would now be the most possible fight happening.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that Shurtakov is going to be doing any more light heavyweight fights. He just had his first fight at middleweight and looked like a totally different person. And
lost but he still lost to Yasube Inamoto.
So, I mean, maybe he'll go back up to light heavyweight. Who knows? They'll have to do the thing from Batman and Robin. Do the Bane thing. You have to hook up the tubes to him to get him back to the light heavyweight weight. Maybe, but I think I'd be more interested in seeing Khalid versus Beyond, just because they're young. They've got good records. And I think it'd be a great opportunity to potentially see who they can focus on in their light heavyweight division now that Jiri is in the UFC, and I think that personally would probably be the best thing to do, promotion wise, especially because you'll have no issue getting these fighters from Russia. Byung, who's he trains out of Italy, right?
Yeah, he trains out of Italy, originally from Cameroon.
So let's assume for the fact that that's the other issue as well. Now that Italy is basically blocked off from the rest of civilization, we may not see Simon Biong potentially ever again in Rise, at least this year. Who knows? So if you wanted, like you said, you might have to do him versus Shurtakov in that case. I don't know who else. I'm trying to think of other light heavy. I wouldn't want to see him versus CB Dalloway again. It's not a fight it's not a fight I really want to see at all. It's really not. So yeah, go Shurtakov. But ACB certainly has an open door for him. Sorry, Christian, go ahead.
Another fighter that would be more fitted to fight in there. Another fighter, women's fighter who would probably be more suitable to fight in either the PFL or RIZIN, Talita de Oliveira Neves Bernardo, otherwise known as Talita Bernardo, 5'4", 135 pounds with a 68-inch reach, who is a BJJ black belt from Bala de Sao Joao, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. She holds an MMA record of 6-4 with 4 wins via submission, but she was woman-handled in the UFC, going 1-3 in the promotion overall, defeating Sarah Cheesecake Morris, but losing to Marion Renault, Irene Robles Aldana, and Viviane Vivi Araujo. Latter of 3 happening all the way back in May of last year at UFC 237 in Rio de Janeiro. So, I mean, I have to ask, do you think that there's a future for this woman to fight anywhere?
Um, jungle fights, maybe.
I mean, be realistic.
Okay.
I don't think that Jungle Fight is able. I mean, I don't think that we're able to see Jungle Fight events outside of an illegal stream.
How about Shuto Brazil?
I mean, that would be possible, but again, we can't see. I mean, the only promotion that we can see outside of Brazil, obviously, is FFT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know who the hell they are. I probably might have to search that shit and show it to you, but
I'm trying. Like you said, probably Invicta. Where else? You go to Invicta. Maybe you could have her in the PFL, but I know that the PFL is trying to establish that that they're not trying to get people who are coming off losses. They want to try to have fighters who are that they're trying to treat it like it's. I mean, I don't want to say a legitimate sport, but they're trying to treat it as if this. It's hard. You don't get in by losses. You know what I'm saying?
But that means you don't fight. I mean, you don't fight Salt for $1 million, though.
That's true. That's true. There's not a lot of options for it. RIZIN is certainly not an option. Honestly, only option might be Invicta. Truthfully, I don't know where else she could do her thing. Invicta might be the only one. Maybe Bellator. I don't know. Maybe you get in put her in Bellator for like a prelim or opening match if you ever do a show. I don't know, wherever. But I don't even think she's Bellator worthy.
You know what? Speaking of a fighter who probably would have very few places to go, Atomweight Jody Escobar, of which she's not only an atomweight but a strawweight as well. She's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, fighting out of Jackson Winklejohn MMA. She's 7-7-1 as a boxer. Obviously, she is 6-6 as a mixed martial artist. And she had a 4-fight run in the UFC, losing all 4 of her fights via unanimous decision. But considering the fact that there aren't that many places for an atomweight fighter to go other than RIZIN or other than Road FC, would a return to the Invicta cage, where she is 4-2, would a return to Invicta be suitable for her?
Oh, probably, yeah. That's probably the one American promotion she can go to, unless she has to go to scrape the bottom of the barrel and go to King the Cage or something. I wouldn't be surprised though if RIZIN did sign her for like a fight or two, simply because the atomweight division is it's a division that they want to showcase. And listen, if they're willing to sign Angela Magana, they're willing to sign anybody in that division. And for close to that division. Mangana, she was strawweight, right?
Yeah. Our Majesty, Angela Magana, was a strawweight.
Yeah. I know that probably Escobar is a she has fought at strawweight, but it looks like she's more of an atomweight. So, and also here's the other thing as well. You know that her record, she only has one finish, and it was her first fight. All of her other fights that she's won has been decisions. So, she's also a professional boxer, apparently.
Yeah, I just mentioned that. She's 7-7-1 inside the sweet science.
Yeah, if you want to bring her in and showcase, her against a Japanese atomweight, because, Japanese atomweight presumably will defeat Escobar, in RIZIN.
You know what? I got an idea. Instead of having her going to RIZIN, how about having her going to Pancrase and face off against Emiko Raika?
That's not bad. That's not bad. I was gonna say.
After all, Emiko Raika is a boxer herself.
I was gonna also say, maybe why not Deep Jewels against one of the many so the Rockets from Thailand.
Or having her face off against Yasuko Tamada, who's basically the old lady gatekeeper promotion, or having her face off against Shotoko Shinasi in a reasonable fight instead of having her face off against like young girls, basically.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. I think definitely more of her options internationally are going to be. She'll have a lot more. Uh, in Japan, like you said, Korea. There's not going to be a lot of options here in the United States unless she wants to go up to strawweight, and that's where she was in UFC, and it's clear that is not her weight class. Also, she's 5'1". That is very small for a strawweight. So obviously, she is going to. She needs. I think her options at atom weight will have to be international.
Understood, understood. And speaking of international fighters, let's talk about one of the most recent Canadians that have been in the UFC, Kyle Preprolak, who is 12-7 overall, fighting out of Windsor, Ontario. That's in Eastern Canada, folks. And he went 0-2 inside the octagon, losing to Nordine Taleb and Austin Hubbard on some recent ESPN Plus shows. Do you think that, barring a return to the Great White North, that he would do well internationally, at least alone in RIZIN?
What weight division was he? He said he was welterweight, or was he lightweight?
Lightweight.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm gonna read a little comment from him that he said about his release. He said it was fun while it lasted. Once everything is done, settled, I'll get the ball rolling and get back in there. He thanked the UFC for the opportunity. He said he'll prove myself worthy again. Time to get back to work. Time to be better than ever before. So it sounds like he's going to try to, he's going to do the Ben Saunders thing to get back, or I should say also the Andrei Arlovsky thing, where you improve your record and get back in, which, is not unreasonable. He is 30, not too young, but not too old for a fighter. I think, obviously the lightweight division in the UFC is very, very much a packed division, and based, it's, I don't know, maybe I don't know if you can get down to featherweight. Probably not, because I'm looking at him. I'm like, oof, I don't know if that person can get down to featherweight. He did have one fight at welterweight though. That was his in UFC. That was actually his debut, where he lost to Nordine Taleb. I think he's going to try to gun back for UFC. Try to get some fights, maybe on the Bellator, LFA, maybe, or reach higher class regional circuit. Hey, who knows? Maybe RIZIN will sign him as a lightweight. Trying to think what promotions in Canada right now would he be able to go?
Other than Unified MMA in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, by the way, I don't think that other than Unified MMA in Edmonton and TKO MMA in Montreal, I don't think that there's any, other promotion. Oh, and Battlefield FL out in Vancouver as well.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there's no other options.
He was in Bellator before, though. He went 1-1 in Bellator, and I think this was the Bjorn Rebney era, because this was back in 2012. So, I guess you could say that was a different era of Bellator. They probably would have no problem taking him back and trying giving him a second run of Bellator, and based on that, he may if he's successful, he could definitely come back in UFC. I think. I don't really see any international options for him. I think he's gung ho on getting back in UFC and staying North America side, I should say.
Right. Another international fighter who would probably do better, fighting in PFL or elsewhere around the world is Marcos Dalsim Marciano. 6'2", 154 pounds, a lightweight from Guarulhos, Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's 6-6 overall. He went 0-2 inside the octagon, getting submitted by Groovy Landon Venata and losing via decision to Claudio Puelles. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, where do you think he would be better suited in? Because he's not rising worthy. He's
Mm-hmm.
6-6.
You could definitely put him in a Bellator prelim. Yeah, a Bellator prelim, at most, or post-lim. I don't know.
Either that or he'd probably be fighting, he'd probably be better suited fighting in one of these Brazilian promotions.
Like Shuto Brazil or Jungle Fight or something?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're not trying to downplay the guy because the dude is a skilled record. I mean, the dude is a skilled fighter despite his 6-6 record.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the talent pool that he's gonna probably face up against, I don't know. In the future, I don't know. It might be just a case of where he's just behind the curve. He is 33, also, so he's a little bit old in terms of MMA years, and 6-6, 12 fights, pro fights. He may not have that much fight time left. I think if, like you said, those options are very, very, very limited for somebody like him.
Oh yeah, of course. Another fighter to talk about is Isabella Belina de Paduta, who fought in the UFC. I think no, her professional MMA record is 5-2. She's from Campinas, Sao Paulo, Brazil. She fought. Actually, no, she only fought one time inside the octagon. That was a loss to Anger Queen, Arjan Lipsky, back on November 16th. But she got caught up obviously, with USADA and got suspended, but got fired during her suspension. And now, she's 5 feet 4, 130 pounds. Do you think that Invicta would be suited to sign her despite her issues, or do you think it would be best for her to just go back to Brazil?
Well, if she failed that drug test, you saw a drug test, she probably would not be eligible to fight for Invicta. No, she wouldn't be, because Invicta still fights under unified rules. She would know. She would have no. She could not fight there at all. If she was released, not due to failing that drug test, probably yeah, but she's gonna have to probably go back to SFT in Brazil, which is where she started. You said she's a flyweight. I guess if RIZIN does have a women's flyweight division. They got Shinju in that division. They got Justina Haba. They got Kana Watanabe. But I think those are infinitely better fighters than probably Belina is. So I mean,
you know what? Come to think of it, you just mentioned Shinju Nozawa Eauclair. We haven't heard much from her over the last year.
What would you suggest? Well, would you suggest putting those two in a fight together by any chance? Maybe.
I don't think it would be wise, but I don't think it would be wrong either.
I think that Shinju, she lost her last fight, I believe. I think it was to Justina Haba, and then she was supposed to have another fight, but then that got canceled because I think she got injured, I believe. And so, if you wanted, let's be honest, if you want to fight that, I think that Shinju can easily win. You put her up against Belina. That she should easily win that fight. If she doesn't, then I don't know. Yeah, again, the options are limited for her, at least stateside, because she'll still be suspended. So, yeah, it's either Brazil or maybe Japan, maybe South Korea. Who knows?
Of course. And the last fighter on our list of people who got cut is a native of Chengdu, China, 5'8", 44-pound Liu Xianhong, who has an 18-6 overall mixed martial arts record and never got the chance to fight inside the octagon. He was supposed to fight Movsar Evloev on the same card where Zhang Weilei made history in defeating Jessica Andrade to become the first Asian-born UFC world champion. But unfortunately, Lou got cut in training, so he was only there for a cup of coffee. But considering the fact that obviously China is trying to get back together after, this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and the fact that it's not going to be, the fact that this dude is probably going to be denied from most major MMA promotions around the world. Obviously, he's not going to be fighting in ACA. He's not going to be fighting in the PFL. He damn sure ain't going to be fighting in RIZIN. So where would he go if he's not going to be fighting in Kunlun or Wulin Fang or any of these other promotions in China or around the world?
Oh yeah. So actually, the funny thing is, he is a training partner of Yadong Song, who's a fan favorite in the UFC right now. Just thought I'd point that out. They're from the same camp. Um, I think what's it's good. I wonder, with the exception of like obviously Zhang Wei, is going to become of fighters from mainland China? Are countries going to want these people? I shouldn't say these people, but are countries going to want fighters from mainland China? Basically, because of how this whole thing of coronavirus went down. Listen, you can't not ignore that there is anti-Chinese sentiment around the world, and it's unfounded, it's unjust, but that's what the world is feeling towards China right now, mainland China. So if there's, I know that we have the travel ban in China right now. So he would not be allowed to fight. Oh, well, he got cut from USA anyway, but they try to book a fight now. He wouldn't be able to fight in USA. Um, I don't know if other countries have that travel ban for anybody who's a Chinese of Chinese nationality. But if they are, there's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually a lot of countries put that forward. He has a good record. He's 18-6. One fight winning streak. It's kind of shitty that he got cut from UFC without actually stepping in the octagon. I don't know. I'm not so sure what the modus operandi behind that is. That's very strange. UFC is not even really like if you fail a drug test or something, that's understandable because then you can't use them for 2 years. You have them under contract. I know if they're not paying the guys under contract, they only get paid when they show up in fights. But you want to supposedly cut the fat. Here's the thing: he's a featherweight. He's a featherweight with a good record.
Yeah, of course.
He can definitely be part of an organization. When this whole coronavirus thing blows over, hopefully, and there's not anti-Chinese sentiment anymore. I would definitely say, RIZIN needs some featherweights. Um, Bellator probably could use some featherweights. Um, I don't. I guess if you want, who PFL uses a lot of fighters from China. Definitely have him as an alternate in case somebody gets injured, or eliminated, or whatever, misses weight or whatever. There's many options for him, but the problem is in the current state of affairs, it's very hard to figure out what those options now. Truthfully, probably realistically, right now at this very second, 9:39, March 20th, 2020, his only options probably are China and or Russia, ACB, RCC, something along those lines, and yeah, those are probably the only options I can honestly think of.
Exactly. But if you look at his record, and I'm looking down the list, he's 18-6. Half of his wins are via finishing. Half of his wins are via finish. Two of those finishes, one in the U.S., obviously his only fight in the U.S. was in Hawaii all the way back in November 2015 when he defeated some Hawaiian jobber in 3 minutes and 29 seconds of the third round. The other of his victories against an American opponent, obviously he's 3-0 against American fighters, but his most famous victory against an American fighter was against a beaten down, worn out, and I hate to say this, trashed to the ass Charles Felony Bennett via 5-second knockout, corner stoppage. So I'm guessing the UFC picked him up because of the fact that he beat Charles Bennett in 5 seconds, and that was really the only available footage that people actually gave a damn about.
Listen, if you become like a viral or meme fighter, the UFC will sign you. We've seen that with Miguel Pereira. Well, what is it?
Michael Demolidor Pahelia.
Pereira, yeah. We saw that with Ben Enwin when he beat up the tattoo guy. If if you become like if you become a meme fighter, you will get signed by UFC. There's
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest, look at what happened with Emil Weaver Beat when he beat up Josimar Paul Harris.
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that with Emil Meek. So yeah, that does happen. You can get you can get a USD contract that way. So not no surprise that he got signed based on that reason. He is a good fighter though as well. So hey, when this whole thing blows over, maybe you could get a chance in RIZIN. Maybe you could get a chance in Bellator, PFL. Who knows? But right now, his only options probably are China and Russia. Unfortunately.
I see. I see. Now another thing. I mean, I know that you're probably. Uh, we're done talking about this whole UFC releasing thing, right? Oh, damn it. Shit. I'm sorry, connection issues.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we're done talking about the UFC signing thing. I just have to get your opinion on this. What are your thoughts about, the UFC basically playing Billy Badass and saying, oh, what are your thoughts about the UFC playing Billy Badass and saying to the MMA media that we are the wimpiest bunch of people in the face of the earth?
It's stupid. They're stupid. It's really really stupid. Listen, I heard what Dana White said today that apparently that the MMA media doesn't take care of families. He does. Problem is that he takes care of families only when they fight. I should take that back. There have been other cases where he's paid for fighters' health insurance when they went to him and all that stuff. But listen, we can go into a whole thing about fighter pay in UFC, and we'll be here onto a boot in the face. And I don't want to go down that route. So the obvious, was it? If you want to go back to the issue of whether UFC should have had those fights or was trying to put on those fights, whether it was smart of them or not, I have no idea. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. The problem is, here's the thing: Dana White's an asshole. He's an asshole, and and I know that people love him for it. You can be an asshole and still be right, but you also can be an asshole and still be wrong. That's even worse. So he's an asshole and he's wrong in this case. If he does he the MMA media. We have a lot of problems with them. We stated that many times before, but in the case of them not taking care of their families, most MMA media people don't make any money. So for you to say
exactly, I mean, look at us. We don't make any money. We're proud to do this podcast for free.
Yeah. So to say that that they don't take care of families, I mean that's more of like a fact rather than like as it is a flex. I guess you could say. There's really, it's kind of like rubbing salt in a wound that's not necessary. Yeah, it's really a really dumb and misguided thing of him to say, and he won't apologize. I don't expect him to, but he should really think about that before, because without the MMA media, the MMA media basically bows down to everything the UFC says or does without any question. And that's the reason why there's no coverage of promotions like RIZIN and Deep or even sometimes Bellator or PFL, just because people want that UFC access. They want to take a picture next to Tony Ferguson, or take videos of themselves reacting to Connor's big return win for likes and retweets. So yeah.
You know what? I think that can also be the case for me when it comes down to the MMA opinion, who I often promote on this podcast. But every time that particular page that I'm an administrator on posts a UFC video or highlight or headline, it gets massive appeal. It gets like likes, shares, and comments out the asshole. But when it comes down to me posting anything about the RIZIN Fighting Federation or anything relating to RIZIN, it barely gets any traction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we've seen the difference with how promoters treat media with like Scott Coker, who doesn't get this hostile. Same with Sakaki Bara, who doesn't get hostile. Yeah, really.
It's because of the fact that both of those guys have been around the block before. They have dealt with greedy promoters before, and they're both level-headed human beings.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they're level headed and they're smart. So um, yeah, Dana White's just being Dana White again. Nothing new in that case, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no shit. And is there anything you want to say before we close this podcast, though?
But nothing really. We just hope that people stay healthy. Respect your local city ordinances if there's a quarantine or uh, whatever. If they're telling you to stay inside, just act with common sense. Don't go out. Keep it under 50 people. Your gatherings. Try to eat healthy, get exercise, and try to stave off this whole pandemic. So yeah, that's basically all. With that, Christian, I'm gonna throw off the social media sign offs to you.
Okay, if you want to check out the show, if you want to follow us on Twitter, which I did mention earlier, you can follow us on Twitter at We Are Rising Pod, WeAreRizInPod, all in one word. And you can check the show out on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and hopefully soon. And I keep beating Podbean.com over the head to Andrew because he just won't listen and think that it's not a good idea for him to get him on that site. But as soon as we get that shit done, we hope to stream this podcast to every podcast provider there is around the globe. And as far as us, you can follow us on Twitter at ChrisGary92 and at ABenja1, CHRISGARY92 for me, ABENJA1 for Andrew. You can follow Focus Fights. We cover prospects from all around the fighting globe, the scenes of the US, UK, China, Japan, South Korea, Russia, pretty much everywhere around the world that isn't quarantined half to death right now, and even except for our Antarctica, will be emphasized. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Focus Fights, or just search for us on YouTube and Google. Type in the name Focus Fights in parentheses, because if you type up Focus Fights without them, you're just going to feel lost. Just like if you type up We Are Rising without the parentheses, and you don't see the YouTube channel as the first link, you're going to feel lost. And also be sure to follow the Best Damn Fight Blog period. That is facebook.com/DMMAopinion, facebook.com/THEMMAOPINION. Trust me, you will not feel unsatisfied if you do. But other than that, and my goodness, another quick podcast. And we just want to remind you, while you're going through this quarantine, because of course, as of March the 20th, we're still in the middle of quarantine hell, but please, as a precaution, wash your hands every 20 seconds or every time you put your hand on your face or put your hand down your junk or anything like that, because of course, we wouldn't want you to catch anything of what's going on in this world right now, and we just want y'all to be safe. Spread the joy of JMMA fandom and RIZIN Fight Federation fandom alongside us, because we don't know you personally, but we love you enough for being fans of us, and we actually give a damn about you.
I got an idea, Christian. Spread JMA, not the virus.
Yeah. Support JMMA, fuck the coronavirus. But other than that, it's been fun talking with y'all. We enjoyed having y'all as company for listening to us, and we're even thankful for y'all joining us on the We Are RIZIN Podcast. Until then, stay safe, drive carefully, take care of others as others will do for you. Be sure to wash your nasty ass hands, or maybe just your ass in general, because of course, a fresh body or some fresh hands will do well during this quarantine effect. And remember, as Lenny Hart always likes to say as we close out the show, and just like that, we out this mug. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.